In the bleak winter of 1776, with the Continental Army under General George Washington facing a series of defeats and low morale, a bold maneuver was planned. Washington aimed to inspire a fledgling nation by challenging the British Empire's might, setting the stage for the pivotal Battle of Trenton. Positioned near the Delaware River, Trenton was a crucial Hessian stronghold, yet their overconfidence would be their downfall. Facing expiring enlistments and waning morale, Washington devised a daring night crossing of the icy Delaware, a dangerous but necessary act to rekindle the revolutionary cause and turn despair into hope. On Christmas night, 1776, Washington set his audacious plan into motion. The weather was bitterly cold, with the river choked by floating ice, posing a menacing obstacle for the crossing. About 2,400 troops began their precarious journey across the Delaware, guided only by the faint glow of storm lanterns. The crossing was fraught with danger, each moment on the frigid waters testing the resolve and endurance of the Continental soldiers. Despite the adverse conditions, the troops maintained their silence, understanding the necessity for secrecy to ensure the success of their surprise attack. As they reached the opposite bank in the early hours of December 26th, they regrouped with remarkable discipline and prepared to march on Trenton. The attack plan involved a two-pronged approach, dividing the forces into two columns to encircle the town and cut off any potential retreat for the Hessians. Washington led one column down Pennington Road, while the other took the River Road, converging on Trenton in a coordinated pincer movement, moving swiftly and silently in the dead of night. As dawn broke, the town of Trenton was still in the grip of sleep, the Hessians unaware of the impending threat. The element of surprise was complete, and as the first shots rang out, the Battle of Trenton began. The Hessians, caught off guard and still disoriented from the previous night's Christmas celebrations, scrambled to their posts. The initial phase of the battle was chaotic. American soldiers, rejuvenated by the prospect of a surprise victory, fought with renewed vigor. They moved through the streets of Trenton, engaging Hessian forces in close quarters combat. The sound of musket fire and clashing bayonets filled the air, turning the quiet morning into a battlefield. As the Continental Army pressed forward, the Hessians struggled to mount an organized defense. Their leader, Colonel Johann Rall, attempted to rally his troops, urging them to form ranks and prepare for combat. However, the speed and ferocity of the American attack left little time for the Hessians to recover. The streets of Trenton were quickly enveloped in smoke and chaos, with American forces gaining ground with each passing minute. Under the leadership of General Washington, the American soldiers demonstrated extraordinary courage and coordination. Washington, ever present on the front lines, provided direct command and inspiration, driving his troops toward the key defensive positions held by the Hessians. The sounds of battle echoed through the town as the Americans employed their well-rehearsed maneuvers to outflank and overcome enemy forces. In one notable encounter, a young officer named James Monroe, who would later become the 5th President of the United States, led a small contingent against a Hessian-held artillery position. Despite being severely wounded in the process, Monroe's actions, along with those of his men, succeeded in capturing the guns, a move that significantly crippled the Hessian capacity for return fire. The fight intensified near the town center, where the Hessians had fortified their most strategic positions. Here, the battle reached its climax as American forces surrounded the main body of Hessian troops. With their artillery captured and their leader wounded, the Hessians' resistance began to crumble. Colonel Rall, trying desperately to reorganize his forces, was fatally struck by enemy fire, a critical blow that effectively sealed the fate of the Hessian defense. By mid-morning, the battle had decisively turned in favor of the Continental Army. The Hessians, overwhelmed and leaderless, were forced to surrender. Washington's troops moved quickly to secure the area, disarming their opponents and rounding up prisoners. The scene was one of controlled chaos as American soldiers, heartened by their improbable victory, managed the aftermath of the battle. The capture of Trenton was not just a military victory, it was a monumental boost to the morale of American forces. The news of the triumph spread rapidly, reinvigorating the revolutionary cause and instilling a renewed sense of hope and purpose across the colonies. The victory demonstrated that the Continental Army could not only stand up to the might of the British Empire, but could also defeat them in a direct engagement. After Trenton, Washington assessed the victory, capturing nearly 1,000 Hessians and a large cache of military supplies, pivotal for the independence struggle. Recognizing the turning point, he didn't rest but strategically planned the next assault on Princeton, capitalizing on this momentum to alter war strategies and bolster American morale, showing his tactical insight and boosting confidence in a newfound American resilience.